Endlösung and death camps. Why were people sent to concentration camps? As everybody knows, Adolf Hitler didn't like the Jews, so eventually he wanted to exterminate them. They were sent to camps, called concentration camps. Concentration camps were divided into two groups, death camps and work camps. The people who could work were sent to the work camps. Children under 16, many women and older people were directly sent to death camps, killed by poisonous gas or other awful ways. At first, the camps were used as prisons, but later more and more people were put in them, and the conditions became worse than before. The Jews, Gypsies, and people that were against the Nazis were sent to concentration camps to work or either be tortured. They put them in these camps mostly because of their looks and religion. Different kinds of people were sent to different camps and to do different works. In these categories, the Jews were treated the worst. These camps were built to fit a lot of people. The conditions were very bad. Places were very crowded. People had to work very hard, and they didn't get enough food to eat. They had many bunk beds to save room. One of these concentration camps is Dachau. In this camp, it was primarily a camp for men, homosexuals, gypsy men, trade union leaders, and others considered as enemies of the state. Most of the people were high-level opponents of the Nazi government. It was not particularly a camp for Jews, although there were Jewish prisoners in Dachau. A lot of medical experiments were performed on these helpless prisoners. Most people were released after participating on these experiments, but many people died or became injured after them. How many people died at Dachau or survived? More than 200,000 prisoners entered Dachau, of which more than 30,000 died. Of the 200,000 prisoners, almost 2/3 were political prisoners, and nearly 1/3 were Jews. It isn't clear if all the remaining prisoners did survive, since most of them were sent to other concentration camps and might have died there. In comparison to other concentration camps, the number of deaths in Dachau wasn't very high. This is because Dachau wasn't a death camp, like Auschwitz, but it was a work camp. This meant that the prisoners were forced to work. They were only gassed or shot when they weren't able to work. For example, if they were too old or too young, if they had disabilities, or when they were too sick to work. The prisoners who had to be punished more seriously were sent to Auschwitz or to other death camps. Most of the people sent to Auschwitz didn't leave alive. Almost 900,000 prisoners were gassed soon after arrival. At least 200,000 worked themselves to death or died of diseases. Of the 405,000 registered prisoners, only 65,000 left the camp alive. It is believed that more than 1.6 million prisoners have been murdered in Auschwitz. Probably more prisoners have been murdered in Auschwitz but haven't been registered. What did prisoners have to do? So what did the prisoners have to do? The prisoners could be sent to work camps or death camps. In death camps, they were obviously killed. They were killed in gas chambers or in other horrible ways. Men older than 16 were sent to work camps. In the work camps, they had to work. They were forced to do heavy manual work. Most of the time, they worked until it became their death. This is because the working days were long, normally 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. The work they had to do was hard. They worked in inhuman conditions, received little food, and they were lucky if they got a good tool, like a shovel or a pickaxe. If they didn't get a tool, they had to work with their bare hands. The guards were watching them, and they had to do everything as fast as possible. If they didn't work fast enough or stop for a break, they would be beaten or killed. Their work was also often useless, for example, moving sand from one place to another, or carrying heavy stones. Some of the other jobs they had to do were producing food or for the German soldiers, building roads, mining, digging trenches, metalworking, cutting hair of the soldiers, building the barracks, working on installations. Some even had to make lamps or work in the shoe factory. The women also had to do work. They had to clean houses of the high military people, they made clothing, and some were also used as hookers. In some camps, they did medical experiments, like in Dachau. The experiments often caused death and diseases. The health conditions in camps were very bad, so many people died because they got sick.